Hello universe! Today I thought we would talk about minimalist interior design, and I have 5 tips for you to have a beautiful, inviting and personalized home without having too much clutter. Now I know the all white and crisp aesthetic is very popular among minimalists, but I feel like it serves more the artistic side of minimalism than the practical side. My first tip here would be to not be afraid of color. Unless the all white aesthetic is your thing, you are missing a great opportunity to add depth and visual interest to your home without adding any actual clutter, and the different colors could serve a different feeling when you are inside the space. So you could have darker colors to create a cozy, comforting feeling. You could have many lighter colors that will create this bright and energizing feeling, or you could have bright, fun colors like pink or green that will create a fun and inspiring feeling. Now, what is actually important is to have a coherent color palette. So the colors are not wrong by themselves, but you could go far by adding too many different colors, and then you will have a space that doesn't feel very harmonious. Normally, you could have a different color palette for each room, but for minimalists, I would advise you to keep with a very similar color palette across rooms so that the home feels very flowing, very easygoing, and then it won't matter what actual colors you did choose. It will matter that they all combine and feel very harmonious together. The next thing to think about is creating an intentional floor plan. It might not seem very important how your furniture is placed, but it becomes even more important once you don't have a lot of things lying around. And the floor plan determines a lot of the things that happen in your home. It determines how the sound travels, how the conversations will take place. It determines how the light falls or how you will go about your activities through the home. If you have a TV facing your dining table, you're more likely to watch TV while eating, which will not be very good for you. So if you want to design your lifestyle and help it with the way that your space is designed, then you should think about having an intentional floor plan. And the way I go about that is I grab a piece of paper and just try to sketch out how I could place the things, create a few different variations and try them out. One thing I would like to advise against though is putting everything against the wall and creating an empty space in the middle of the room. This is what some designers call wallitis. And it is not a very good use of the space. It doesn't look good. It doesn't really create areas, which is something that is very useful for your focus. If you have an area for working, for studying, you will feel there is more motivation to do that specific thing. If you have a TV watching area, you can create these mental walls in your room. So if you have everything being a circle around the middle of the room, you won't really have that division. And that relates to my next tip, which is to design the empty space intentionally as well. You can think of the design like a photograph. You want to have a balance between the items on the photograph, but you also want to have a balance between the empty space in the photograph. And as a minimalist, it is very important how you will use the empty space. You could do your hobbies there. You could have some beds that fold out where your friends can come over. You could have your bike sitting there. You could have a dancing place, a place where you do yoga. And it is up to you how you will use it. Being intentional with how you use the empty space means you don't have to fill every single nook and cranny of your home with storage, with plants, with rugs, with other decorations. You don't need a decoration for everywhere. So if you have a free corner where you would like to put a plant, maybe think about putting the things around so that you have a corner or a place in your room where you have place to do yoga. There might be a better use for the empty space. My fourth tip is to decorate with intention. Like I mentioned, you could decorate every corner of your home with a plant, and I don't think that's a bad thing. If you don't want to use the empty space for anything else, a plant is a beautiful living being that will be different every season, that will give you that visual interest and also some kind of company in a way. But if you don't want to use a plant, you could also focus on having beautiful functional items. A stereo that looks very pretty, or the mirror, the edges of the mirror. I personally like to have very beautiful mirrors, and I have some speakers from IKEA that are also very well designed. And in the future, anything that I need to take, especially a big amount of space in my home, I will make sure that it is well designed, because I don't want to buy extra decorational items without function. There are some exceptions though, and those are the sentimental items that we like to keep and I think are very important. If you have some of those in your memory box, some things that someone gave you, photos, a macrame that they made, any other gift that they created. I think it's really nice to display those as a minimalist, and they will wake up certain emotions in you, which will probably feel good, hopefully, and also create experiences. So I like to focus on the blanket, the rug, the candle, the pillow. These are experiences. Now, when I lay on my bed and I see the soft light of the salt lamp and the soft light of the candle, these decorations actually bring me more coziness, a certain feeling that I can put the blanket on me and lay on those comfortable pillows. It is a completely different sensation when you've thought about it, when you've designed it, to just having anything around your home. Definitely display your beautiful fruit bowl and the cups that you like to drink coffee from, but be mindful of that color palette that you have chosen. As long as you don't stray too far from it, everything should look cohesive and be useful and beautiful at the same time. My final tip is to use what you have. We are minimalists after all, so hopefully I inspired you, for example, to rethink your floor plan, to rethink the way that you use your empty space, or to add some color to your home. But you could also do things like borrow items from different rooms, move them around. You could quarantine certain things for a little while and then have a different decoration, and then when you feel like it again, take out those quarantine things and move things around so that it feels different. You could take some things out that you would normally have in your cupboards, like that fruit bowl or your coffee cups or a beautiful plate, something that inspires you, something that you don't necessarily have to hide because it looks good. Or you could go out in nature and borrow some things there, like feathers, rocks, branches, whatever beautiful things you find there. Maybe some shells. You could have the rocks in a vase, you could have your flowers on there, or you could have the branch hanging somewhere in your house. Or you could trade things with friends if they have something they don't need anymore and you want to give them something that you don't need anymore. Maybe you could trade home decor, or you could go thrifting. And if you do want to invest a little bit of money into making a big difference, I think lighting makes the biggest difference. By changing the way that the light falls with a different lighting fixture, or just changing the bulbs from cold to warm, you could create a completely different feeling in the space. You could make it feel more inviting. You could create visual interest with the colors that are there. My favorite thing to do is to play with the cloth surfaces. I will have a few different kinds of pillows, of bed sheets, of blankets that I move around and place them in different places around the house. I quarantine them for a little, but to make a big difference in your bedroom, for example, you can choose a different color for your bed and it will change so much about the room. So if you feel like it's looking a little bit too wild, then maybe you could choose a monotone cover and a few simple monotone cushions that will match it. Maybe you could have a different fabric or a different feeling to them to still create that depth, that interest. You could also think about painting the wall, maybe creating an accent wall or painting something on it that will be very interesting. You could think about staining the floor if that is an option. You could stain your floor a darker color. That makes a huge difference and you're not really adding any clutter. Or you could paint smaller items like your flower pots or the windowsill or some of your furniture. Maybe a dresser will have a different feeling. If it looks white, it will create more of an airy feeling to your room. There's definitely a lot you can do without adding additional clutter. Wow, I hope that helps. And if you have any questions, you can leave them down in the comments. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next week. Bye.